It's a strange thing, nostalgia. It hits you at the weirdest times. For me, it was 2:11 a.m. on a sticky Miami night. May 14, 2017. I was rummaging through a box of old college stuff I'd found in the back of my closet. Mostly junk I should have thrown out years ago. Textbooks, faded band t-shirts, and then something else. It was a single, black VHS tape. No fancy sleeve, just a stark white label stuck to the front. Scrawled on it in thick black marker were 3 simple words: "Do not play." Now, I'm not a superstitious guy. I'm a creature of logic. But there was something about that warning. It felt less like a suggestion and more like a command from a forgotten part of my past. I hadn't owned a VCR in over a decade. Who even uses these things anymore? Curiosity, though, is a powerful motivator. I spent the next hour digging through other boxes until, buried under a pile of old photo albums, I found it. A dusty, clunky VCR that probably hadn't been powered on since the early 2000s. I blew the dust off, plugged it in, and against my better judgment, I slid the tape inside. The machine word groaned and finally clicked into place. The screen flickered to life with that familiar blue background, then static. A wave of fuzzy grey snow filled the monitor. I was about to give up, figuring the tape was just degraded beyond repair, when the image started to resolve. My heart skipped a beat. It wasn't some old home movie or a forgotten TV show. It was my room. The room I was sitting in, right now. The same posters on the wall, the same half-empty water bottle on my nightstand, the same pile of laundry in the corner. It was a live feed, but my phone was on the charger, my laptop was closed. There were no cameras in my apartment. I leaned closer to the screen, my breath fogging up the glass. The camera angle was strange, positioned high in the corner of the ceiling, a spot where there was absolutely nothing. Then, the image on the screen began to change. The static intensified, crackling like a fire. A deep, guttural sound started to emanate from the TV speakers, a low hum that vibrated through the floorboards and up my spine. The room on the screen started to distort, the walls seeming to warp and stretch as if they were made of rubber. The colors bled into each other, the vibrant posters melting into sickening swirls of brown and gray. My own reflection in the dark TV screen looked pale, my eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and a primal, growing fear. That's when I heard it. A scream. It wasn't loud at first, more like a distant wail carried on the wind. But it grew steadily, rising in pitch and volume, until it was an ear-splitting shriek that filled my apartment. The scream was distorted, stretched out, playing in what felt like agonizing slow motion. Every tortured inflection, every gasp for air, was drawn out into an eternity of sound. It was the sound of pure, undiluted terror. And the most horrifying part, it was my voice. I was listening to myself scream. I clamped my hands over my ears, but the sound was inside my head, echoing in the chambers of my skull. On the screen, the image of my room was now shaking violently, as if caught in a localized earthquake. The furniture was sliding across the floor. The lamp on my desk toppled over, its bulb shattering in a silent flash of light. The scream continued, a relentless assault on my senses. I fumbled for the remote, my fingers trembling, and slammed the stop button. Silence. The sudden absence of noise was almost as jarring as the scream itself. The only sound was the frantic, heavy thud of my own heart against my ribs. I sat there, paralyzed, staring at the blank screen. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. Was it a prank? A high-tech, incredibly cruel joke? But who would do this? And how? The video quality was grainy, low-fi, exactly like an old VHS, but the content was impossible. It was a live feed of my own terror. I had to know more. I needed to see what happened next, or, more importantly, what happened before. My hand, shaking uncontrollably, reached for the remote again. I pressed rewind, the tape whirred backwards, the squeal of the rewinding magnetic tape, a welcome, normal sound in the suffocating silence. The garbled, reversed audio of my own scream was a bizarre counterpoint to the quiet dread that had settled in my apartment. I watched the time code on the VCR's display count down. I stopped it, took a deep, shuddering breath, and pressed play. The static returned. Then the image. It was my room again. But something was wrong. It was dark. The only light coming from the faint glow of the city filtering through the blinds. The bed was unmade, just as I'd left it that morning. The camera was still in that impossible position in the corner. I waited, my muscles tensed, expecting the scream to start again. But there was no sound. The scene was still, silent. Then the camera panned. It moved slowly, unsteadily, drifting down from the corner. It wasn't a smooth, mechanical pan. It was jerky, almost organic, like someone holding a camera and trying to keep it steady. It moved across the room, past my desk, past the closed closet door, and then it focused on the floor next to my bed. My blood ran cold. I saw a pair of legs. My legs, wearing the same jeans I had on right now. The camera continued to pan upwards, slowly revealing the rest of the scene. I was lying on the floor. My eyes were open, staring blankly at the ceiling. My skin was ashen, and a dark, sticky pool was spreading out from under my head, staining the hardwood floor. I was dead. The tape was showing me dead on the floor of my own apartment. I stared, unable to process what I was seeing. A time stamp appeared in the bottom corner of the screen. April 28, 2017. That was almost 3 weeks ago. How could this be? I was alive. I was sitting here, watching this. I felt my own pulse at my neck. The steady, frantic beat, a stark contrast to the still figure on the screen. The figure that was me. The tape played on, showing the silent, grim tableau for what felt like an eternity. Then, with a final burst of static, the screen went blue. The tape had ended. I sat there for a long time, the remote clutched in my hand. The Miami sunrise began to paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, but I didn't notice. The world outside my window felt distant, unreal. The only thing that was real was the cold, heavy certainty that had settled in my gut. This wasn't a prank. It wasn't a dream. I slowly stood up and walked to the VCR. I ejected the tape, its plastic casing feeling cold and alien in my hand. The label seemed to mock me now. Do not play. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a fact. It was a premonition. I rewound the tape, not to watch it again, but to set it back to the beginning, back to the point before I knew. But you can't unknow something like this. You can't unsee your own end. I looked at the calendar on my wall. It's funny. I have plans for next week. I have a dentist appointment. I have a project due at work. But according to this tape, my time ran out weeks ago. I'm living on borrowed time, a ghost in my own life. I now understand, some recordings aren't memories. They're warnings. And I'm just waiting for the static to begin again. Thank you for listening to my story. Sometimes the things we find in the dark are better left there. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales that blur the line between what is real and what is recorded. Stay safe out there, and be careful what you play.